As Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Ukraine today, it was a historic first. This is the first time that an Indian Prime Minister has visited Ukraine since the two countries established diplomatic ties in 1992, which means 30 years ago. The visit is a diplomatic tightrope for India, given Ukraine and the West's intense anger 6 weeks ago over Prime Minister Modi's hug to Russian President Putin, who Ukraine has called a war criminal. The hug had come on a day that Moscow had bombed a children's hospital. Some of those misgivings were washed away today when Prime Minister Modi hugged President Zelensky and more importantly, accompanied him to a memorial dedicated to children who have been killed in the war that has now gone on for 2.5 years. It was after his visit there, and those pictures from that memorial, where the Prime Minister said that India was never neutral in this war. It was always on the side of peace.
हमने जो दूसरा मार्ग चुना, वो दूसरा मार्ग है युद्ध से दूर रहने का। हम बहुत ही कन्विक्शन के साथ युद्ध से दूर रहे हैं, लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम तटस्थ थे, हम न्यूट्रल नहीं थे। हम पहले दिन से ही पक्षकार रहे हैं और हमारा पक्ष है शांति का। हम बुद्ध की धरती से आते हैं, जहां युद्ध को कोई स्थान नहीं होता है। हम महात्मा गांधी की धरती से आते हैं, जिन्होंने पूरे विश्व को शांति का संदेश दिया है।
Now, Prime Minister Modi also thanked President Zelensky for the prompt evacuation of Indian students studying in Ukraine during the early days of the war. Both countries have inked 4 agreements for cooperation in areas of agriculture, food industry, medicine, culture, and humanitarian assistance.
So, in the discussion, obviously, a significant part of it was devoted to our bilateral relations. There was a discussion about trade, economic issues, defense, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, education, and obviously much of the discussion was spent with regard to the war in Ukraine. The Prime Minister reiterated the need for sincere and practical engagement between all stakeholders to develop innovative solutions that will have broad acceptability and contribute towards early restoration of peace. He reiterated India's willingness to contribute in all possible ways to facilitate an early return of peace.
Now, India has had strong diplomatic, economic and defense ties with Russia since the days of the Cold War. The ties have endured despite strong pressure from the West when Russia launched an invasion of Ukraine 2.5 years ago. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ukraine, the first for an Indian Prime Minister in 30 years, is therefore seen as a departure of its traditional foreign policy. But how are Ukrainians seeing this visit, and what does the war-torn country expect from India? I'm putting those questions to Ukrainian MP Yulia Klymenko, who is joining us on the broadcast this evening. Yulia, we understand this visit is historic because it's the first time that an Indian Prime Minister is visiting Ukraine in almost 30 years since diplomatic ties were established. But it is historic for more than one reason, isn't it?
First of all, as you said, it's a first visit in 40 years, and I think it should be just a start. And then we need to reload our relations and to have it more tight, because honestly, having an Indian family now, I understand that we're very similar nation. I have my daughter-in-law, she's Indian. So I think that we need to continue with political, diplomatical, cultural, economic reconstruction relations. So it's my true belief that We have a lot to do. And also because, Modi had his visit to Russia, to Putin, and for Ukrainian nations, it was very unpleasant and very upset situation. We don't want Ukrainians to see India as an enemy. We want Ukrainians to see India as a friend. And I think this visit will turn around this attitude, because, they visit to Russia and hugs and kisses with Putin was at the day of heavy missile attack to Kyiv. The biggest hospital in Ukraine, it's like a huge hospital in Ukraine for very ill kids, like with cancer, with asthma, with different and difficult diseases. Were destroyed, fully destroyed. Now all these kids has no hospital to stay. It was very modern and very, modern hospital with the modern technologies. It was a very big disappointment that this very moment, Prime Minister Modi kisses and hugs with Putin. So that's why we had a lot of questions from Ukrainians. And I think this visit and this warm attitude of Indian leader to Ukraine will take out all these concerns of Ukrainian nations and also Western countries, because it was seen as a very, so to say, improper visit to Russia.
So have some of those questions by Ukrainians been answered today? The Prime Minister went to a memorial that is dedicated to children who have died in this 2.5-year war. I could see that both President Zelensky and Prime Minister Modi, as they stood there offering a soft toy, both of them were very emotional. Prime Minister Modi has tweeted to say no parent should have had to go through this. Have some of those, misgivings been assaulted?
I think yes. If a short answer is yes, because it's a very difficult to go and see faces of killed kids, and to see parents of killed kids. And I think Prime Minister Modi done right thing that he decided to visit it and see by himself, by his eyes, results of Russian aggression and killed Ukrainian kids in this aggression and this war. So I think it will take most of these questions out from the agenda.
It definitely was a very difficult moment. Can I then ask you whether there is an acceptance in Ukraine that it is tough to choose between friends? It is tough for India to choose between Russia and Ukraine, because after all, for India, India's strategic interests will come first.
I don't think so, because when you are struggling in the full-scale invasion, in a bloody war, you will not accept this argument. If you will be on our places in our situation, I think you will think the same. All Indians will think the same way, because if you are struggling, if you have your homes destroyed, your cities destroyed, your families killed, I don't think you can think about somebody's friends, honestly. And I think India shouldn't, I understand that India is keeping neutrality. It's a nation's narrative, national idea of neutrality. We understand it. But you have also, as India, understand us, because you were struggling, you were fighting for your independence, for your anti-colonial future. The same, we are doing the same. We actually don't want to be a colony of Russia, and we didn't start this war. So Russia started this war. And we understand that you have deep economic relations with Russia. Even it was not Russia, it was Soviet Union who was the biggest friend of India. And a lot of Indians, they are mixing Soviet Union with Russia. Russia is not a Soviet Union. Ukraine was a part of Soviet Union. And we actually established the first technical university as Ukrainian professors established the first university in India. We had a lot of people, doctors and teachers who went to India to help with the education system and with healthcare system. We have a lot for many years. We as a part of Soviet Union. But now I think it's a time to understand that even if you have two good friends and one of the friends done bad thing, you have to tell your friend that this friend done bad thing and to convince him not doing these bad things.
Yulia, realistically, India today has said that we were never neutral. Prime Minister Modi is saying we were always on the side of peace. Do you think realistically India can be a peacemaker in this war, given how long and far this war has gone?
The war could be stopped if Putin would stop. And I think that Prime Minister Modi is a powerful man. He is one of the top leaders of the global South. He is a leader of the biggest nation in the world. So he has a lot of, India has a lot of economic ties with Russia. I think you have, as a nation, and Prime Minister Modi as a leader, has enough leverage over Russia to deliver this message. And also I do believe that all these ideas of Russia to use nuclear plant, nuclear weapon against the Western world, against neighbors, against Ukraine, is a very dangerous messages from Russia. Also, it should be a part of the message from Prime Minister Modi. Nobody should start talking about nuclear weapon and open Pandora box. And that's one of the part of the message that Prime Minister Modi could deliver to Putin. I do believe that it will be a strong message, and Putin will listen to this strong message because he understands, and now biggest friends are India and China for Putin.
Yulia, I don't know whether India can be the peacemaker in this war, but I do hope there is peace because no one wants to see children in a war. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. With that, it's a wrap from me. Thanks for watching.